Hey everybody, we're Pole DFS. I'm Ricky.
I'm Keaton.
And we're going to be talking about the Zurich Classic. I call it the Besties Edition because they are in groups, they're in pairs.
Yep.
And so it's going to be an absolute nightmare for DFS purposes.
DraftKings didn't make it any easier on us either.
It's not going to be fun.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
But we're going to try to have as much fun as we can. We're at the TPC at Louisiana.
I love it.
Somewhere close to New Orleans.
A little bit outside, a suburb of New Orleans. I actually didn't get the map out. I should. If you watch our NASCAR show, you know we're a big fan of telling you how far they are.
Definitely in Louisiana, marginally close to New Orleans.
They called it a suburb on the wiki page.
Yeah. So insert, close to here.
15 miles. 30 miles.
As we go, 30 miles, 20 minutes, 45.
It's hard to tell.
2 to 3 hours. It's a good plan. Anyways, as usual, our weekly show beer is a Radio Haze. And if you watched our NASCAR show last week, this was actually Keaton's also show beer. Mine was not because I was not here. We were actually in the same place.
Our budget was limited. I only had one. We still have the 3-pack left, so.
But
repurposing.
Good beer. Noda. A historically Charlotte beer.
The sign behind
ages,
me.
I guess. Literally forever.
Yeah, it's not the oldest in Charlotte because I was at Trivia last week, and the oldest in Charlotte is Old Mech, which we have not done one of their beers on the show yet. So maybe we'll get some of theirs out. But yeah, thank you to our viewers, everyone that watches. Continue to like, subscribe, give those thumbs up. Leave a comment below with which team you think is your favorite to win this week.
Yep, or which team you don't understand why they're together.
Yeah, the craziest team. And be careful in your selections. Let's keep it PC. Last week recap was absolute garbage. I didn't play sync at all. Literally 0%
Neither did
sync.
I.
And didn't win any money.
Yep.
Ricky had the probably single greatest 6 of 6 percentage I've seen in any.
I got 17 out of 20.
Yeah.
And I barely didn't lose money.
In a 20
I barely made money.
But no sync.
I had no sync, and everyone else just kind of dilly-dallied the rest of the tournament. I had a lot, my even going into Saturday, I was even without sync, I was I think I'm going to make a push. I could have a chance. I did not have
no one made a move.
No one made a move, and then sync just sat there. Yeah. But nonetheless, as usual, that's kind of how it goes. I really liked where I was, and I really thought that I was actually going to be good at this DFS stuff for once.
85% 6 of 6 is insane.
Well, this week it'll be 0, so. Law of averages, boys and girls. Law of averages.
On to this week. So this is another unique formatted event. It is still a stroke play, but it is 80 teams of 2 golfers, and they will alternate the format that they play. So rounds 1 and 3 are going to be what's called 4-ball, which Ricky is going to tell us about because I had to Google it.
Yep. Everyone plays their own ball. Your score is the person that scores the best on the hole from your team.
Yep.
So if you make a birdie, the other person makes a par, your team made a birdie.
So effectively, we just have a team scorecard.
Yep. And so that means the scores are going to be low or lower than you would traditionally see.
So as a golfer, how would you play that different? I guess the only one that comes to mind for me is something like my partner hits a great tee shot, or in the fairway at least, a safer tee shot. I can be a little more risky or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly right. You're going to play towards your strengths a little bit more. So, if you can hit it a little bit further on, some of the par 5s and that type of thing, you're probably going to go for it a little bit more and give yourself, try to get a little bit further in and try to make those low numbers. But as a whole, really, I mean, you're not doing in 4-ball. We'll talk a little bit different about alternate shot, but you're not doing that much different because you're still. I mean, you're still trying to get the lowest score that you can on a hole, and in theory, you're always trying to do that. I guess
maybe just a little more aggressive.
Maybe a little bit more aggressive because you do have a backup. These are professional golfers. I mean, they're not going to be out here both of them probably aren't going to be making double bogey. But alternate shots is really interesting because
so that's rounds 2 and 4.
Your which holes you're going to be teeing off on. So I mean,
real quick on alternate shot, how does that work?
So tee shots alternate. So if me and Keaton were a team, I would either hit the tee shot on the first hole, or he would, and then after for the rest of that hole, we would alternate shots. So I hit the first shot, he hits the second shot, I hit the third shot, he hits the fourth shot until we're in the hole. And then the next hole, he would tee off first.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of strategy on, wanting to, like I said, if one person hits the ball longer than the other, wanting to have, maybe the longer driver or the more accurate driver on like a par to hit more of the par fives and that type of thing. So there's definitely strategy there. I think it's hard, again, on a DFS side to kind of read where that actually helps you and hurts you, but there definitely is strategy to who picks and who goes. It's not going to be the same as if you play like a Captain's Choice tournament where like you're just all hitting from your best shot every time. It's not. It's not.
That's what I thought best ball was when I first read it.
No, and so you're not going to be like in that regard. Like you really would just be hitting if I hit it into the fairway, Keaton would just try to hit an absolutely ridiculous good shot. But that's not really something that you're going to do here. So yeah, it's a little bit more tame as far as the way that two people will play together, but how you are capable of playing together and working off of each other is really, really important. And that's why we'll talk a little bit later about course history and people who have done really well at this before and that type of thing as we move forward.
So one thing that kind of came to mind is, do you think there is an advantage to golfers with similar skill sets or golfers with differing skill sets?
That's a great question. I mean, part of me wants to say different, but an alternate shot, probably not, right? So an alternate shot, like, it probably doesn't behoove you to be that different because, if I hit the ball 350 yards and you hit it 275, you're not really used to.
I'm gonna have some weird.
I'm not used to hitting that second shot from where you are.
Okay.
So in that regard, it may be helpful to have complementary players. But on the best ball side, it's helpful if you're a shorter player or you're good at certain things to have somebody who can complement you on holes where maybe you don't stack up as well. It's a little bit of both. I mean, and the important thing is, and what we'll see when we talk about everyone later, is that you really have to look at the team as two individuals but together.
Okay.
And so when we're looking at how to evaluate these people and how they're priced, which is very weird this week.
Very.
It's something where you have to take a step back and try to figure out exactly how much you should put in stock if, one player is, a top 10 player and the other guy's a top 50 player. How does that compare to like a team of like two top 25 guys?
Yeah. So a lot of people have been aggregating the world golf rankings to see like combined team, and I think there's one team that was really surprising in terms of pricing and combined aggregate. I want to say it was the Gimsa team in terms of world golf rankings was actually like, or maybe it was the Willett, and I don't know. We'll get through it as we go through it here. But so then the other rules here, it's cut after round 2. The top 33 in ties will make it. A lot of
similar
sites,
to normal, but
yeah, a lot of sites still have this listed as 35 in ties. So when the cut used to be 70 for competition events, this was a 35 cut event.
Yeah.
But when the competition went to 65, they lowers this to 33. So just if you see it out there as 35, it is 33 this week.
Yep, and we got that one right. Unlike some of the previous weeks.
Well, And then you can only draft one from each team. So it could have been interesting to have the opportunity to double up. Like if you were just super hard on Palmer and Rahm, you just
really enjoyed that.
double them and roll.
But
yeah, you can only draft one. And DraftKings actually, I tried to just to see if there was a chance for some dud lineups, but it will not let you draft it. So the only advantage I can see is maybe people using an optimizer because a lot of the optimizers won't be set up for it. Could have a scramble right at lock time if you're trying to submit lineups right at lock time, but that's more of an NFL thing than a PGA thing.
But as we look at the history, last year, spoiler alert, it didn't happen.
Yeah, another one of these canceled 2020 COVIDs.
But the previous year is a grouping that is in this week.
Yep.
Of Palmer and Rahm. Fleetwood, Garcia, neither one are in here. Horschel is somebody who is playing.
Garcia's also playing, but not with
not
Horschel.
together. Duffner, also the same thing with Perez. So that's definitely interesting to see how much you put into that. I think for Palmer and Rahm, I'm personally staying a little bit away from it.
They're popular,
but they're going to be very popular because, they have that course history. Ryan Palmer's played really, really well lately, and John Rahm is John Rahm.
Yep.
And so it's definitely
Brown and Kistner are still playing together from this list as well.
There you go. And so that's definitely somebody who, maybe something to pop out on. But again, this is only the fourth time that they've done this format. Yep. So, there's not as much of a...
Yeah, our other type of comparable events, I guess, would be I'm drawing the blank, but there is a short 24-player teams event that they do. It's not a PGA event, but some of these guys have played in it, and I can't think of the name of it now. And then also is one of the Ryder Cup event they do an alternate ball thing.
Yeah, the Ryder and President's Cup. They both
do alternate
ball. Both have alternate ball and a best ball. Okay. Stage. So yeah, I mean, you could definitely look at that and see how some of the people. I mean, Mr. America Patrick Reed not playing this week.
Not playing. Yeah.
We talked a little bit. If you go back and look at our match play conversation, obviously match play is a little bit different than stroke play. But we did talk a little bit about performance in Ryder Cup and President's Cup and that type of thing. And so, that may be something interesting to keep an eye on as we walk through some people who have a lot of experience in this type of format and move forward. So, the TPC... Oh, Avondale, Louisiana.
Avondale, there you go. Right outside. I did put New Orleans because it's a suburb. We'll see how far Avondale is. All right. But yeah, it's a par 72. It's a longer 7,400 yard course, and it's another Pete Dye course. We're actually about to go on a Pete Dye run here leading up to the Players, which will be at a Pete Dye course. And I feel like we've played a handful of them here recently. I'm sorry, the PGA, not the Players. We've already done the Players this year, the PGA Championship. And so, another Pete Dye course, which we don't have Siwoo in the field this week, so I'm not sure who I'm supposed to tell. 14 minutes, wow.
14 miles, 21 minutes.
Okay. But right now it looks like we are going to have some rain in the forecast for for Friday and part of Saturday. Thursday looks clear. So we may see some delay, or if you're playing Showdown, we may see some opportunity for some AM PM stacks. But right now it looks like mostly clear except for rain on Friday and early Saturday. And then the course is another Pete Dye. So this is another one of those second shot courses. Off the green is important in terms of accuracy off, but length off is not as important. And so that second shot, that strong approach game is huge here. And then I think birdie or better, just for the format, I think is interesting for the opportunity to put up some low scores. I guess it doesn't necessarily matter things like bogey avoidance because you have, I guess maybe
there shouldn't be many bogeys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, probably an alternate shot. There's going to be some more. But there shouldn't really be any bogeys on your
four
ball rounds. So you definitely do want to kind of aim at some people who maybe do have a higher birdie percentage and that type of thing. We talked. I believe it was last week. We talked a little bit more about volatility.
Robert McIntyre.
Yeah, exactly.
Green and red.
You get when you get your volatility up for DFS purposes. It can be problematic in making cuts and that type of thing, but it can also be very, preferred in that you're going to score points in the rounds that you're in. And when you make
a birdie plus a bogey scores higher than a par.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, as we go through, there's going to be some people who, probably are a little bit more volatile.
I wish Bobby Mack was playing in this event.
Exactly. So.
And then the last thing I put up here was Bermuda putting. We are back on a Bermuda surface. And so there are some guys that have quite better splits on Bermuda than they do on some.
And those guys are
for you to figure out. I think Horschel's a Bermuda putter. I guess
sense.
Homa probably.
We talked about Horschel for 50 years every time we talked about a Pete Dye course. That makes sense.
Where's Siwoo? He's not on there this week. And then so these are Vegas's odds. Then I threw the DraftKings salary there next to it.
If you're like, hey, what is everyone in the entire field's odds? Keaton's got them on this page right here. Just he filled it all the way out.
The two that stand out to me as absolutely insane are the two guys up top, Rahm and Palmer and Cantlay and Schauffele. Plus 700 seems like nowhere near the right price. I mean, these guys aren't going to win this tournament 1 in 8 times. That seems very unlikely.
Well, that's because Scheffler and Bubba are going to win it 100% of the time.
So
one times, no less.
I mean, if I was going to bet anyone up here, I'd probably be betting the Todd Kirk or maybe even Gooch Homa is interesting. Yeah. But for DraftKings purposes, I think all these guys are at least in play. I'm probably not going to play Cantlay at all and Xander.
Yeah, I ended up running into a lot more like Morikawa, Wolf.
Yeah.
And then Scheffler, Watson. Those are my two biggest of this range. We'll talk a little bit later about the different ranges and that type of thing. But those were definitely the ones that hopped out to me, and I like them fitting into my rosters a little bit better.
And then down here are some of the guys at some longer odds. Mitchell and Snedeker are an interesting pair in that Snedeker is a long off the tee, and Mitchell is probably one of the best putters on tour. So that's an interesting pair. Uline and Rinsky is another pairing. Rinsky's played really well recently, and I think Ricky was telling me Uline has made 3 of 4 cuts, possibly also 3 of 11 cuts total, but 3 of 4 recently.
I might have said that. I might have made it up.
And then Hahn and Trainer is another one that's interesting, way down the list. We've seen Hahn play really well. Trainer played well last week, but hasn't actually played super well recently. But that's a low-priced team at super long odds that is worth considering.
And one interesting thing, though, is what you were talking about the Mitchell-Snedeker pairing of good driver, good putter of two different people.
Yeah.
That's where something like an alternate shot can really come into play if they set it up correctly to where, Mitchell's hitting that first putt, more than Snedeker is. And Snedeker's hitting more of the more important driving holes.
Yeah.
If you can map it out right, that's definitely something that can end up playing you. And that might be why they're a little bit more expensive, right? They're $7,400 versus somebody who has the same odds, $300 cheaper. So
that makes sense.
And so definitely something to keep an eye on as we move forward.
One thing as a general rule is we're going to run through all the pricing here, but one thing that I've noticed as looking at the pricing this week is pricing is up compared to a typical week. Rosters are uncomfortable to build.
Yep.
But it's just tough getting some of these higher end guys in your rosters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you very rarely see 4 guys in the 11,000 range.
I had to redo our slides. Normally I have 10 to 11 plus all in one slide. I can fit all the 10K guys, all the 11K guys in one slide. But you'll see here in a minute, we've got 11 and 10K separated. So
yeah. And I was joking about how many favorites were on this list, and there are a lot. But as you can tell, all but the Gooch Homa pairing are over 10K.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not going to act like Gooch and Homa aren't 9,900.
Yeah, exactly. That's a rounding error from 10K.
Yeah, exactly. So as you look at the 11K range, that's exactly what we're talking about.
And again, the pairs are together. So like you'll see Xander Cantlay, then Cantlay's Schauffele, and that's the same pair. You cannot. It will let you until you hit submit.
And then it yells at you.
Yeah.
But
very angrily.
The thing that's interesting to me in all of this is that there's 80 teams and a 33-person cut, or a 33-team cut. It's really not that different than a normal tournament. I don't understand why the scoring, and it could just be because there are a bunch of teams that I don't necessarily want on my roster.
There are a lot of low guys.
And so, it may just come down to that. But there is a lot of difference between the upper scale and the bottom scale.
They just started really high, too. Like I mean, normally we don't see I mean, I guess, what was it last week? We have DJ at 11.6 maybe?
That sounds right.
But then it fell off pretty quickly. Like it was, I guess, DJ 11.6, maybe Cantlay at 11.4 or whatever. And then, I mean, it dropped quick. We didn't have these, all these 11.5s, 11.3s, 11.1s. So, yeah, it's interesting. Cam Smith getting an $11,000 price tag is absolutely.
But, I mean, Leishman has played really, really well. Yeah. And I haven't built any with that team in it, but I can 100% justify it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they both played well recently. And the one that worries me is Morikawa Wolf. Like,
that's
if
the one I'm
Morikawa could hit both shots all the time, that would be preferable. Wolf just scares me. He doesn't seem like he has his head right.
He hasn't been playing great, but I think this is something where it's different, right? It's not just the... I mean, and that's been his big thing, right? He's been all alone on the
Getting
tour
on him,
and all that stuff. So this is a big difference where it really is team-based. You're very much with with the guy that you're competing against. Maybe you're able to have a little bit of fun. Maybe you aren't, but hopefully you are. And so,
especially they chose partners, so exactly. These guys like each other.
So this is something where I'm a huge Morikawa fan just as a whole.
Yep.
And it's something where I think Wolf has shown that he is good enough to, if he's playing well, to be a really, really good pairing with Morikawa. And so it's somebody that I think you're completely right in saying, it's a little bit worrisome to especially to play at 11-3.
Yeah.
But I'm still doing it because I'm dumb.
And Morikawa is a good enough golfer to win this tournament all on his own. So I guess we only really have to rely on Wolf to hit like every other shot in half the rounds.
Yeah.
So
well, and I mean also throwing some birdies there on the other ones, but stuff. And so as we go to the 10K range,
I know we're gonna hit one of your favorites right off the bat.
I'm big on the Scheffler Watson train.
Yep.
I'm mostly just disappointed that Spieth is not playing, so that Scotty Scheffler and Spieth couldn't play together.
Nice Texas boys, yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Spieth said that Scotty Scheffler was the best golfer he had ever seen. Or he said he was the best golfer in Texas or something like that, from Texas. And obviously he is also from Texas. But nonetheless, I really like Scotty Scheffler. He's been playing really well. And I like Bubba in these types of events. Bubba is the type of the guy that he's going to hit some good shots and some bad shots. And especially in the best ball format, all of your shots don't have to be good. And
we saw it in match play that Bubba did well.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a team that I think is probably I would rather have over most of the guys in the upper side. I know the Finau Champ one is interesting to me. It is one of those that I don't have a lot of, but I want to have a lot of.
I think that's fair. Champ we've seen play pretty boom bust. I mean, once he went on that run to make the cut 2 tournaments ago, I guess 3 tournaments ago because it was before the Masters. He played great on Saturday and Sunday. He made that chip in on Friday afternoon to.
He always color he always has the. He's got the Nike, and he always his color
he
combos
looks nice,
are always great.
We need to put him in touch with Scheffler's people then. I think we might have said that on the previous.
Who's also a Nike guy, and I'm a huge fan of.
But Champ, and then Finau, who's, played incredible minus like a small stretch in between all those seconds where he missed some cuts. Yeah. But I'm going to stop harassing the Tony Finau tracker on Twitter.
Probably a call on your part.
I thought about writing to him and giving him some props this week and told him that 2021 was going to be first place. When he gave his past results, but honestly it was miscut, third miscut, so I didn't want to add another miscut to that, or a first, really, honestly. So yeah, Finau doesn't have the best, but he does have a third place here 2 years ago, or 2 goes ago.
And these are two guys that hit the ball really, really far. And I think, again, this is kind of one of those formats that actually may play into the hands of somebody like Cam Champ, who hits the ball really, really far, and also just hits crazy shots.
Maybe a little erratic, yeah.
But you don't have to have you are not relying on every single shot that he hits, at least in the best ball rounds.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit less in the in the alternate shot where they are important, but like you're not having to depend on him to make par every battle, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not depending on him not to make bogeys. You're just depending on him to try to make birdies, and he has shown that he can do that.
And he has the opportunity to capture all his upside.
And so
the next team that I come up here, and I really, really like this team, is Horschel and Burns. I know you are not a Horschel fan, but
I like Horschel fine, but I just at 10-5, it feels expensive.
It is expensive,
especially with. Yeah. I mean, I would much like. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about Burns. He's not played great.
So it was definitely the Willett Hatton team that when the combined world golf rankings was uber up there when it was sticking out of my head earlier, because that's the next one up here with Willett and Hatton. Hatton has played like 2 rounds really well the last few tournaments.
Yeah, Tyrell's
2 rounds, absolute garbage.
Yeah, basically.
So if he could put 4 rounds together, he's going to carry.
But this is one of those examples where, like, I was talking a minute ago about like the 11-1 pairing or whoever it was 11-1. It just kind of feels expensive. Yeah. Or maybe even the Horschel-Burns pairing. It just kind of feels expensive at 10-5. And the Hatton-Willett pairing just kind of doesn't feel that bad. Like, yeah, Danny Willett has played other than when he won the Masters 4 years ago. But like he played pretty decent at Augusta, and he's played here and there. But you can tell by his fantasy points per game, which is still just the worst abbreviation for anything golf related. He's not somebody who is popping off and going to be super high, but he can be consistent. Hatton is somebody who can be really, really good sometimes.
He can get real low, yeah.
And maybe when you look at it, that they end up going low. I want to hear what you say about the Kirk Todd team, because I think you were talking about you like
that. The other favorite up in this group.
I like Brendan Todd a lot. I like Kirk a lot. I don't have too strong of feelings of them together.
It's expensive for both of these golfers.
Yeah, Todd hits the ball really well. I think the thing that kept me from getting more, and I think I have a little bit, maybe like 10% of Kirk Todd, maybe not that. I might not have them in any, but I definitely thought about putting them in some. And so I think the thing that kept me was the 9,000 range and the 8,000 range, and the people I was either able to get to below, so like Hovland, as we'll get to in the next one, M that we'll get to in the next one, or even the $8,000 guys. Some of the, I would rather have Kokrak Perez at 84, 83, whatever they are, than Kirk Todd. And that's just me. And maybe, I think Todd's probably a little bit better player than Perez is right now. Yeah. And I think
Kirk and Kokrak maybe.
Yeah, they're pretty similar. But for $1,700, I have a hard time.
Yeah, all these guys in the 10 and 11 range make roster construction difficult.
Yeah.
And as we get down to the 6, we'll see. There's not a lot of guys.
There's
we like
not a lot
of
guys.
Less than 7.
It's a lot easier to build rosters that you don't hate. Yep. In the low 9 to 8 and a
balanced build is much more.
And maybe that's not the range that ends up being the best, but because Stuart Sink just shoots 63.
Back 63s from the 47-year-old golfer.
Yeah, but nonetheless, you look at it, and it's definitely something that I have a hard time getting into the 10s on some of these guys, and especially when you look at. And again, I think I would rather have Homa Gooch than Kirk Todd. That's just me, though.
I mean, I think those are both really good teams.
Yeah.
I actually like Homa and Gooch quite a bit in this group here. One I haven't got to, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to roster it all, is Hovland, who I love. I've been a Hovland supporter this whole podcast or our whole show we've done, but I don't know how I feel about Ventura. We have seen him be streaky, I guess, and so maybe
streaky is good.
Yeah, maybe this is the time he gets hot streaky. But man, I wish Hovland had picked a slightly stronger competitor.
I wish that Hovland would have just picked
Morikawa,
Sunjay, so I could have just been. So I could have just pumped them to the moon. The only golfers I like. I think it's definitely interesting. I definitely find quite a bit of it because there's very few times where you can get Victor Hovland this far down on a list, and even at 9,700, that's not that different than what he normally would be priced. But
it's the number of golfers.
But the people above him, and the relative value that he presents, and Ventura is somebody who has played better lately, I believe.
I mean, just look at the points per game. I know it's not, like you said, not the best stat, not the best number, but Hovland's points per game is leaps and bounds above everyone else around him. He's 84. The next guy on this page is 76. There's one guy at 76, one guy at 70. No one else is even in the 70s. I mean,
he's definitely a guy that I think, as far as an individual being how they're priced, I think he is definitely off. His price is off. But the thing about Ventura is you see he finished 36th at the Arnold Palmer.
Okay.
And he missed the cut at the Valero, missed the cut at Corrales, missed the cut at Honda, missed the cut at the Players. So that's 4 missed cuts in a row. So not great.
Fifth time's the charm.
But he finished 49th at Puerto Rico, finished 36th at Arnold Palmer. So, and
he's never been paired up with Victor Hovland.
Exactly.
So.
And that's exactly right. Right? Is that we know the commodity that is Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
And I'm huge on him all the time. And I think he is somebody that you should pump into your lineups basically every week.
Speaking of guys that we talk about very frequently,
that I pump into my lineups every week. So
Willie Z is not playing this week, which means next week W. Willie Z.
That seems right.
W next week.
He's taking a week off. He's gonna be rested.
He's gonna be rested. You know that's been my big concern with Willie Z.
So I thought that when you said people that we pump a lot, I thought you were going to then move to the Brandon Grace, Harold Varner pairing. Who, if you have watched the previous shows, I'm a big both Brandon Grace and Harold Varner fan, and they
how
are
could you not play
so
this team?
Expensive this week.
Insane. These are both 7K golfers.
So first of all, I will say Brandon Grace, I think, has been way better than his pricing has been basically all year. He won the Puerto Rico Open, and since then he's been a consistent making the cut. He hasn't quite hit into that upper side of after the cut,
respectable.
But he's been very well, and he's been priced like around $7,000.
7 grand. Yeah.
And so definitely somebody who has made his worth.
They literally took two 7K golfers, stuck them together, and said, "Y'all are $9,700."
And I mean, it almost looks. I mean, you look at it though. It almost looks like they were just like, "What's the average of your What's your points per average?" And you're like, I mean, it's less than Hovland's, but like it's more than the Stinson Rose one. So I guess it's there.
Stick them there.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't understand why they're quite that expensive. I'm still playing them because of principle.
Yeah.
And I think they're really good golfers. And
I think their
Harold Varner's from Gastonia.
There you go. Gastonia's own Harold Varner. Their ownership will be low for two golfers that are good and can get. And
I would much rather have them than Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson.
That was the next group that I was getting to. I don't like either of those golfers.
I mean, I really like Justin Rose, and he screwed me at the player. Was it the Players that he pulled out of?
And then he won whatever tournament, so he screwed me twice.
Yeah. Screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me.
And you're never going on my roster.
But I mean, obviously, Justin Rose is a great golfer. Henrik Stenson, though, has not been playing great for a few years. The Oosthuizen and Charles Schwartzel one's interesting to me. They should be real good. I don't have any of them, and I already regret it.
I will be having some Oosty and Charles in mind.
Charles played really, really well last week.
Yeah.
I don't know where he ended
up.
The
South African team, fire.
Yeah.
If they could have got their boy EVR on here somehow.
Yeah. Exactly. If it had been a three-person team, and you had to be playing with people from the same country
as also the nationality.
Then the Oosthuizen, Charles, and EVR team would have been right up there with the
3 guys I roster already, and you put them all together, and it's a national pride thing.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
But that being said, the Oosthuizen Charles Schwartzel team is going to be really good.
Yeah.
They're maybe a little bit more expensive than I would want them to be, but still.
But everyone is.
I mean, Oosthuizen, really, really good golfer. Like I said, Schwartzel played really, really well last week. I don't know where he ended up, but like he played well for most of the week.
And Oosty's always in contention to either win or withdraw. So,
but anyways, moving down to somebody else that I pump every single week.
My next favorite
is Keegan Bradley.
I have so many favorites in this range. That's why it's hard to get up to the 10s. Like, I love these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Keegan and Brandon Steele.
Steele's played really well, too. Yeah.
And Keegan is like a boom-bust machine.
And he's played well lately, too. He's somebody who, again, when you look at the FPPG, it looks like he's not that great, but like you look at his recent, and he's played really, really well, and so definitely a team that I think has a really good shot of doing well. I think that's a team that I have more confidence making the cut than some of the other teams we've looked at.
Yeah,
like I think the Schwartzel Oosthuizen team's the same way.
Making the cut, I'd put that over the Hovland Ventura team.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And maybe even a few on the 10 page.
Honestly, if you were going to for the right price, actually, I'd probably do it straight up. I would bet that Bradley Steele make the cut over Cantlay Xander making the cut.
Wow.
Yeah. If one of them's going to miss,
write that down.
I vote it's Cantlay.
Both of them are going to make the cut, but it'll be fine. Yeah.
But if one of them is going to miss, my money would be on Cantlay.
Yeah.
Xander.
Do you have any strong feelings about the Peters-Lewis pairing before we get to me pumping him?
Tom Lewis is a good golfer. We've seen him pop a little bit in a couple showdowns the last few weeks. And I mean, I don't have strong feelings. I've heard a few people touting this Peters-Lewis group this week, but I can't say
all right, that sounds great. So now we get to Sanjay and we get to On, who last week I had an On lineup that was my best lineup. That then the cut moved to 2 under, and I lost on, and I cried. But nonetheless, Sunjay, I'm pumping them every week. I'm going to keep pumping them for ages until they make them $12,000, and even then I'll probably still pump them.
If he had a non-lower end, like, I mean, we always see him down at the lower end of the price tier, but if Sunjay had a median tier thing, he'd be at the top of the board here.
Yeah, but even then, like, I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about how, like, some of the guys, like, On is not a differently tiered prize person than Todd most weeks.
No, yeah, that's true. And M should be way higher, so, yeah.
Yeah, in 9,100, that's exactly the same that M was last week when I yelled from a rooftop that he was underpriced. And so I'll continue to yell it. I just think it's, and especially when you look at, and I mean, again, I really like the Bradley Steele one, but I just like the M on one better.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I just think it's better.
I mean, M's a better golfer probably than either Bradley or Steele. And then I guess it's just how much does On drag down. But
I would, like, relative, if I was doing a power ranking, the Ricky power rankings that are purely made up, because I don't even know half these guys' names. Just kidding. That's partially a joke. Actually, in this range, I know all of them. So when we get a little bit
6K
lower,
6K range.
There was some 6K people that I am still not sure.
They're rolling out some champions.
But nonetheless, I would rank them a lot higher. I really like them. I just at 9,100, I found them a lot. Do you have any strong feelings about the Lanto?
It's interesting because Lanto wasn't originally Joel Dahmen's original partner here.
He's a replacement.
Yeah, his original partner.
He's the Keanu Reeves.
Withdrew. I can't remember if he was the COVID guy or if he just withdrew. I forget who his partner was even. But someone that was not as good as Lanto. Lanto's definitely an improvement.
Yeah, Lanto's really
good. This group's interesting, and it was done early enough.
Do you have any opinions about the Dahmen?
I like Dahmen. I'm just wondering if he's still hungover from his win. I mean, he sounded like he was going pretty hard. He won.
When did he win?
Dahmen won. Oh gosh, you're gonna make me get my phone out. Did he win API? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get my phone out.
That doesn't sound right.
Doing it?
Yeah.
He's won in the last 5 weeks.
Really?
He could still be drunk from it. Yeah, he won in the last maybe like 3 weeks even. What did Dahmen win?
Oh, he won Corrales.
Oh, he won Corrales. Okay, I knew he had a win recently.
Outside of that, he has a 74th, 83rd, 96th, 111th.
And he popped off of that win at Corrales.
Yeah.
I just remember
that's why I did not know who he was.
In his post-game interview, he told his boys at his home course to open the tab. He was coming home.
That's what Alex Bowman said. They were having beers tonight.
Nice.
Then he woke up the next day and he said he was still home, and he said he didn't feel too good.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what happens when you lead one lap and
he
it's the
led
last lap.
11 laps.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Hater. Nonetheless,
this isn't our NASCAR podcast.
Nonetheless, the next one, actually, the top one here, again, I would rather have than some of the other ones. The Fratelli Strillman. Strillman's been playing really, really well.
And Fratelli's long off.
I feel like we've talked a lot about Fratelli every week, so why wouldn't we talk about him again? 8,900, again, a little bit expensive for Fratelli, and probably why I didn't find him as much as I probably should have. Or, should have is a relative term. But especially when I get to the 8,400 range, like, I don't know. Do you have anything strong to say about most of these guys? Because I want to get to the 8,400, like that low 8 range.
Yeah, there's only two groups here that really stand out to me. One that's just way overpriced is Lucas Glover and Ches Reavie. I think they're both
I don't have strong feelings about
good. They're both fun to roster. I lottered Glover last week and it worked out okay. But that's just an expensive price to pay for these guys. And then you have last year's, or 3 years ago's runner-up.
The Brown Kisner.
Kisner, they're still playing together down there at 87. So,
I will say the Wallace-Gray McDowell pairing is interesting.
Only that Wallace is really good and Green is like, meh.
Gray McDowell, multiple major winner, Gray McDowell. Who, again, not played great over the long haul or over the last little bit, but, is definitely somebody who, could come on and has that long experience that Keaton always discounts.
Yeah, I'm very much of a what have you done for me lately.
But Matt Wallace is somebody who's played really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's not quite how the Noren Norlander one is, but that's kind of how
I will put 0 Noren Norlander.
I will not have that. They'll probably 63-63, boys and girls.
You're winners, right there.
But nonetheless, as we move to this, I like this one a lot.
I like Charlie Hoffman.
I like the Charlie Hoffman, Nick Watney team. That's a good one. I didn't realize how terrible Nick Watney had been this year.
Yeah, 1 of 14 is rough on that missed cuts. I wish Charlie had paired up with Sanjay.
I think yes. Yeah, I wish basically anybody on this page would have been with Sanjay.
Yeah, this is a great page. This has some teams that have really strong...
I would have loved for EVR and Sanjay to be... Could you imagine if EVR and Sanjay had been on the same team? How much I would have... If I would have been popping it, I would, you can't even imagine what I would say about it.
That would be my Tringale Hovland would have been my power couple. So.
But nonetheless, the Hoffman Watney I think is still going to be really good. The Kokrak Perez one I think is going to be really good. Perez is somebody who we've seen I think about a month ago jumped in on the last alternate spot and played pretty well. And maybe the players I can't remember what it was, but he's played pretty decent since then. He plays a lot, obviously, since he has 11 of 20. I feel like he's probably on the senior tour now, right?
That makes that up. Senior tour.
He seems like an old guy. He seems old.
I'm gonna guess he plays on the Euro tour if he plays on an alternate tour.
He is 45 years old, so no senior tour. Yeah, he's towards the seniors tour. But nonetheless, Kokrak Perez is somebody who I think I have a decent amount of. If you watched again last week, Wyndham Clark, I'm a big fan of. With EVR. That's a team where it's almost one of those where they put two people together that are normally in the 7 range or around 7, and they did not get a ungodly amount of inflation that
feels pretty reasonable
that the Grace Varner team got. That is not that different of a team from Grace Varner, and it's $1,500 less.
It's almost no difference than a Grace Varner team.
Yeah, I'm playing Grace Varner because if they win and I don't have them, I'm going to cry.
And y'all don't want to see Ricky cry on the show. It'd be really embarrassing.
So I'm playing them, but I think the price is wrong.
Yep, I think that's right.
Yeah, if that's what Happy Gilmore said to Bob Barker, and that's what I believe right now. But you're going to talk about the Gim Sue one because apparently you like it, but you think it's going to be
I think it's going to be super high owned. I think that is fun to roster these guys. I think Gim has played incredible recently. I think he's top 10, I want to say, in ball striking and stroke gained approach recently. We've seen him pop on some Corn Ferry Tour events, although he did not play well last week on the KFT event. But I think these guys are just popular, and I can see their ownership getting super, super high this week. So
I don't have strong feelings about this, but my question is Tringale.
Yeah.
Who is this person that he had to choose as his partner so that he was priced at $8,000?
I don't know, but I sort of want him because I want to roster Tringale at $8,000.
I mean, yeah.
Also, as long as we're on that topic, it is very important that you choose the correct person between the two players when selecting your roster.
I definitely am of that opinion.
Yeah. So, for instance, you cannot roster Rafael Castro here.
Yeah.
You need to roster
You're going
Tringale.
to lose if that happens. But if you roster Tringale, they may score the same points, but it's just a different type of
it's a different vibe completely on your team. You want your guys on your roster to be vibing.
And that's not Raul Castro like Fidel's brother?
No, I'm pretty sure it's not Fidel's brother.
Okay.
But possibly related.
Good. That is good.
Yeah. So, all jokes aside, just so everyone is very clear, you do score the same points, and it does not matter which one you roster. We are completely joking that, but it does sort of matter because, who doesn't want to roster Hoffman over Watney?
I don't know. I kind of want to. I did roster the uglier golfer.
I'm gonna roster the uglier golfer.
It's gonna be really confusing when you're the top, or like when you're like competing for a number one spot, and like they've got Hoffman, but you've got Watney, and so it doesn't take you out on like when you
can't just cross across.
It's gonna be really confusing.
It's gonna be a fun week. If you play on FanDuel, you will see they did it right, and they just have one entry per team.
Yeah. Do you have have you looked into FanDuel in any places that are like obnoxiously?
The pricing is so soft. It is insane.
Really?
Like you can get all the guys you want on FanDuel.
There you go. All the guys you want.
If you want to build like a Rahm, Cantlay, whatever, Wolf team, Morikawa, whatever, you can do it over there.
There you go.
The pricing is a lot softer.
But nonetheless, as we move to the 7,500 to 7,900, I avoided this grouping like the plague other than the Neesmith one. And that's only because you pump up Neesmith every week. And I feel like I have to
and
play
I like
him.
Seaford. So that's a team that you put two guys I like together. Yeah. The other one I like down here is Thompson and Gordon. Thompson's not the longest
really
off the tee. Yeah, he's played really well. He's not the longest off the tee, but he is a good approach. And so if this is a course where we're thinking that second shots matter more, he's a golfer that
really
I will roster.
Chair.
Yeah, I'm going to WD-40 it later. Sorry. Here's someone that I will find that Thompson-Gordon lineup a fair amount. I think the Neesmith-Seifert lineup is going to be popular. Neesmith seems to get more ownership, although last week he was only 6.5% owned. But he's someone that seems to get more ownership than a low-range golfer should. So I'll probably keep an eye on ownership, but that is a team that I do like down here.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
do you have any other strong feelings about this?
No, I probably won't roster anyone else there.
The 7,000 range, I'm a big fan of Tom Hogue. I continue to be a big fan of him. Yeah, he made me through in a bunch, and he played well until about midday Saturday, and then he played me. But he still way outshot his range. I know nothing about Hosler.
My gamble team down here is the one right below him.
The Doc Redmond Sam Ryder team.
Oh, love
Sam Ryder, who is not related to the founder of the Ryder Cup of the same name.
Okay.
They said that 10 times when he was leading that first round of the... which one did he lead the first round of? The Players or maybe the one the next week?
But the announcers love that stat.
Oh, they said it like 50 times. They were like, he is not related to the Sam Ryder that founded the Ryder Cup. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a question.
Yeah, that team can easily miss the cut, but I think that team also has some decent upside.
As you see at the top, you get the guys that Keaton was pumping earlier, though, the Snicker Mitchell one.
Yeah.
You get the Richie
Verinsky and Uline team. That team's not bad. I actually kind of like that team a little bit as well.
Yeah. Sepp is somebody who's played pretty well. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. S-E-P.
Straka? Yeah, seems right. Sepp Straka.
Sepp.
But with Nick Taylor with Josh Trader.
I don't have strong feelings about that. Below 7
is tough.
I like the Putnam because I like Andrew Putnam.
Okay.
And that's his name, right? I said that his name right?
Seems right.
That sounds right. But he's somebody who's played pretty well. CG Payne's similar with Zhang at 6,400. But yeah, I don't.
Not like John Hahn.
This is definitely a point where the under 7,000 range, there'll be some that probably do really, really well, but predicting it is going to be just throwing darts.
Just because of the nature of the team event, there can be some low scores down here. I think lower scores generally favor the weaker golfers. I think because there's more opportunity for scoring, and so I think harder courses really test the better golfers. And I think easier courses and these type of alternate scoring events just give a more opportunity for a wider range of golfers to do
my one lineup that has Rocco Mediate and Woody Austin, who have just been killing it on the Champs Tour.
Love it.
But have basically not even played a PGA Tour event, but they're in it, and they're in it to win it, and they're $6,000, and they're in one of my lineups, and if they do well, then I'll be happy.
Did you go up to Rahm in that lineup, or who'd you have to pay to get up to in that lineup?
I think I did like 3 $9,000 guys there.
In order to afford some big studs.
Yeah. But nonetheless,
I mean, if they make the cut, that's a win at that point. At $6,000, if you make the cut, that's a W.
I mean, they've done really well in the Champs Tour, so the stats tell me. But so I think this is a week that's really, really hard. I mean, I think maybe it's something where you kind of, you have, if you feel really good about a few lineups, you kind of alternate through a few of these $6,000 guys and see if one flashes in the pan. Depending on your strategy on how many rosters.
This week I'm going way less, so I know this is just a week I don't feel great about this type of event. We don't have the best course history to look at. And so I will probably only play the birdie and maybe a handful of other tournaments, but primarily just the birdie this week. And so we're getting on to some of our favorite golfers. Yeah, last slide here. Some of our favorites, but these are guys we've kind of talked about throughout. A lot of guys in the expensive range that we touched on. So the Rahm Palmer group, I think, is probably going to be the highest.
These are Keaton's favorites, by the way.
I included CT Pan on there for you. I did not include M for you. I should have included M for you. The defending champs, I think they're going to be super popular, but they're going to be popular for a reason. These are very similar golfers. Palmer is basically a mini Rahm. And I think...
And Palmer's been playing really well.
Yeah, and these guys have shown they play well.
He's so easy to get. Like, it's so easy to justify even at 11-5. Like, Rahm played really well on the last day at Augusta.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
They'll be popular, though.
I still would rather have Scheffler Watson, though.
And then I threw Scheffler Watson on there for you.
Pumping Scotty this week.
Burns has absolutely killed me in DFS over the last month, but I will roster Burns and Herschel. Kirk Todd, I talked about earlier. I love that group.
Gooch Home, I like.
That's Ricky's group. Dahman Griffin, I think, is interesting just because we've seen Joel Dahman.
Yeah, Dahman has won one event and missed a bunch of cuts otherwise.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'll take that. And then the Gim Sug group, they'll be very, very popular.
Yeah.
Then we put sleepers. I don't think Neesmith Seifer is necessarily a sleeper. Neesmith's a popular DFS play. But now we get to the true sleepers. Redmond Rider, CT Pan, and Han Trainer. I mean, these guys are cheap for a reason. They could miss the cut easily.
You could put the ultra sleeper as Rockamediate Woody Austin.
Yeah, seeing as I pronounce his name as Meditate or Meditate.
No respect to the man, the myth, the legend.
If you're a journeyman, I probably don't know you.
Not a journeyman. Did you even want the 08 US Open? There.
He won the 08 US Open?
No, Tiger won the 08 US Open,
okay.
but he beat Rockamediate in a playoff.
Oh, see? Today I learned.
On a broken leg.
How broken? Are we talking 2020 broken or 2021 broken or?
You get out. We're done. Hidden Pole DFS ceases to exist now. That was our last slide. Thank you, everyone. I want to leave now because I feel very much attacked.
Tiger jokes do not go over well in the Parker household.
No.
But if you made it this far, leave
everyone.
us your favorite Tiger joke in the comments below.
Or your favorite Tiger moment, or anything just about Tiger that's positive and not mean.
Positive Tiger vibes in the comments below.
But thank you all. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Follow us on Twitter, Pin DFS.
At John Galt JD.
At TR Parker 10. Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.
Bye. Oh, I don't know where it is.